Folks, it was a major deal when the Federal Communications Commission capped the cost of prison phone calls. That happened when Democrats had a majority of the FCC. Well, Republicans are now in charge. So you know what they said? We're going to go ahead and postpone that, at least for a couple of years. So let's keep allowing these companies to make all this money. Mignon Clyburn was the FCC commissioner who pushed this in a serious way. Took a lot of effort to get this passed. She joins us right now. And this got to piss you off. All that hard work, and not just the hard work. People don't understand how families are being utterly ripped off by these prison phone calls, Mignon.
Roland, first, it's good to be here. It's good to see you, but not for this reason. You're absolutely right. We thought we had done it all. We thought we had checked every box, every complaint people had about the FCC not having jurisdiction because it's a federal agency, and we had no right to tell the state jails and prisons what to charge. What did we do? We lobbied and lobbied in a legal way for an agency, and others got out there and went to Congress and said, please pass a bill. Guess what? Congress passed a bill. And not only did they pass a bill, it didn't give the FCC forever and a day to come up with a series of rules and regulations to rectify this wrong. It said you have up to 2 years to do so. So April 1, these rates went into effect. And June 30th.
Well, and Mignon, what happened here was a small group. I'm reading from the Prison Policy Initiative. I'm going to pull this up in a second to show folks. A small group of sheriffs complained about this, and they got the FCC to do this. And the FCC chair is Brendan Carr, who voted with y'all on this.
He voted to put into place, he concurred in part. He did mention he had some concerns. But yes, he did vote for this direction. And yes, you are absolutely right. Almost out of nowhere, he said, we have issues. There are security concerns. There are issues that honestly, Roland, each and every step we took addressed all of the issues that the people who are complaining now, mostly those who have an economic stake in this, are bringing to the fore. And I just, honestly, I was quiet for a couple of weeks because I was just so devastated over this decision. We did everything by the book. We did cartwheels to ensure that we had jurisdiction. We had an open process that took almost 2 years to let every single person have an opportunity to weigh in, including the sheriffs, including these companies. And we struck a balance just about as perfect as it could get to have rates as low as 6 cents a minute to ensure that they weren't bringing in all of these phantom, I call them, unjust and unreasonable charges on top of that. Because keep in mind, some of these companies who are providing these services aren't just providing services for telephone. They're doing the commissaries and the like. And on and on and on, we're seeing this economic exploitation that for one moment, for less than a couple of months, we thought we were in the driver's seat. And here we are, someone who is defying Congress. Congress passes laws, not the FCC, but this person said he's going to put his thumb on the timepiece and said, we up to 2 years, we're going to look at and address the issues that we've been looking at and addressing for more than 20 years, Roland.
So here's what's crazy to me. And again, I'm having issues with my iPad, so I can't pull this up. But it says that in large part, the move is a response to a small group of sheriffs who have lashed out in reaction to its 2024 order. Maybe I can do it now. Here we go. Before the order, companies have been able to offer commissions I need people to listen, commissions and other kickbacks to agencies they partnered with, which drove up the prices of phone calls for consumers. The 2024 order barred companies from offering almost all kickbacks and commissions. In retaliation, a handful of sheriffs, most notably the sheriff of Baxter County, Arkansas, have said they will no longer offer phone calls at all. So basically, this sheriff says, oh, if I can't get kickbacks for the high phone calls, damn y'all can't call anybody.
And not only that, what's going on, these phone calls have literally been the lifeline. Because you know what also is happening in some of these jurisdictions? Families cannot go and visit. You think you can spend your Sunday afternoon going and visiting some of these communities. Some of these places are barring that. So the only means of seeing or hearing from your family member is either through a video call, which this was going to cap because it hadn't before, or a standard telephone call, usually collect. Now, the people who are paying the price are mostly either those persons who are representing them, meaning the lawyers, mostly their families. And what had been happening as rates got more just and more reasonable over the past few years, this is not our first rodeo when it comes to this, you saw usage rise. When people can afford to do something, they do it. And so you saw more people.
Mignon, hold on. You say usage rise, but let's show people why. This is again from the Prison Policy Institute. These are the numbers, okay? The old phone rate caps. Prisons, 14 cents a minute. Large jails, 1,000 plus, 16 cents. Medium jails, 350 to 999, 21 cents. Small jails, 100, 349, 21 cents. Very small jails, 21 cents. So you see right there, small jails, they were charging 21 cents a minute. The new phone rates were 6, 7, 9, and 12 cents. The new video rate caps were 16 cents, 11, 12 cents, 14 cents, 25 cents. And so here's the reality that people need to understand. So what this means is that your loved one, you got somebody who's in prison. So if they were being charged 14 cents in the old rates, now they're being charged 6 cents. That means, Mignon, they can now call home twice as often.
Exactly. Because
it's now 6 cents. So now if I make 2 calls, well, now it's 6 cents a minute versus 14 cents a minute. And then small jails, it was 21 cents a minute. Then it goes down to 7 cents or 9 cents or 12 cents, depending upon the jail. And what we have is, this is greed. This is sheriffs. This is local jails. They were making a killing off of this. And this is another tax on the families who have loved ones who are locked up in jail. And this is Republicans. This is a Republican appointed FCC chair in Brendan Carr who made this decision. And as you said, Congress passed a law. So I don't understand how in the hell can Congress pass a law and mandate right here. The effective date was April 1st. And he goes, oh, the hell with Congress.
It's unbelievable.
Y'all ain't got to live. The hell with the law. I'm going to tell y'all, we don't have to now impose this. This is crazy.
I have never seen anything like it. When I sat on that bench with my colleagues, mostly from the other side of the aisle, you know what they would say to me? I don't tell Congress what to do. Congress tells me what to do. Well, Congress spoke. And guess what? They're not doing what Congress said to do. And I really do not understand this. It boggles my mind. The same people I sat next to who said we are to follow the law, not make the law. We are to interpret it strictly in a manner in which it was presented. And now you say we have problems with some security concerns. We have this concern. We get great complaints. Yes, you're going to get complaints because the structure that everybody benefited from. When I say everybody, I mean the facilities as well as the providers. That is being short-circuited. They are getting rid of those site commissions. You know, I'm being nice when I say site commissions. And now, since they don't have their profit-sharing model, now there's a problem. All of a sudden, there's a problem. And
so I want to show this. Hold up, Mignon. I want to show people this, what you're talking about. This is from a previous story in the Prison Policy Institute. Y'all, watch this. The FCC's order takes the momentous step of prohibiting companies from paying most kickbacks, or in the industry's and FCC's terminology, quote, site commissions, to contracting agencies. Commissions, as we have written before, are a major factor driving up the cost of prison and jail telecom services. Counties and states choose their telecom provider based on which one will offer the highest commission payments, and companies offset the cost of paying these kickbacks by raising their rates. The new rules appear to restrict site commissions in all of their many forms, including, quote, donations of free technology or other gifts to the facilities. So basically, these telecoms were saying, hey, we're going to kick some money back to y'all. Y'all pick us. Y'all pick us. Don't worry about it. We're going to make them inmates and their families pay more.
Roland, when we were growing up and hearing about government contracts, and some of your listeners will affirm, especially those in business, you know who got the contract? The lowest bidder. That is what we were accustomed to, because you were supposed to be looking out for our monies. That is clearly not happening here. The lowest bidder loses. And what does that mean? That means families lose. You're talking about, conservatively, 2.7 million children who have at least one parent incarcerated who cannot afford to speak with them. You're talking about, 70 to plus thousand people coming out of jails and prisons each year. And they go home as strangers because during the course of their sentence, they could not afford to speak. This is a problem that is bankrupting families. It is tearing families apart. You ask any teacher, he or she can almost tell you whose parent is incarcerated by the behavior of the child. This is causing incredibly terrible, horrific ripple effects in our communities. People can't afford to keep up their homes, and you see urban blight. People act like they don't know that these cost shifts, these things are sucking out the economic viability of our communities. This is a glaring example. And to me, this is the biggest case of regulatory malpractice I have ever seen it. I cannot call it anything but regulatory malpractice. You take an oath. Before I go to my panel, Mignon, hold on. Before I go to my panel, I want people to show this here. Before you make that point, I'm going to go to my panel. So this is from the prisonphonejustice.org. I need y'all to understand when Mignon's talking about kickbacks, I need y'all to understand that this is the money. So this is a chart here. This is welcome to the Prison Phone Justice website maintained by the Human Rights Defense Center. Y'all watch this here. Okay, when I scroll down here. So, Federal Bureau of Prisons, no kickbacks. Cost of a 15-minute call is $3.75. Alabama, this is kickbacks paid by families. Alabama, $3.9 million. Alaska, $1.1 million. Arizona, $8.2 million. Arkansas, $2.5 million. California and Colorado, no kickbacks. Connecticut, $5 million. Look at that. Connecticut, cost of a 15-minute call, $4.87. Florida, 5.1. Georgia, 8 million. Hawaii, 200,000. Idaho, 849,000. No kickbacks in Illinois. Indiana, 1.6 million. Iowa, 677,000. Louisiana, 3 million. Maine, 367,000. Massachusetts, 2.3. Michigan, $9 million.
Mississippi, 42,000. Minnesota, 625,000. Missouri, Montana. Look at Nevada, $5 million. North Carolina, $7.6 million. Oregon, $3 million. Tennessee, $4 million. Texas, $6.76 million. Utah, $1 million. Vermont, Virginia, $3.7 million. Washington State, $3.8 million. Those numbers are astounding, Mignon.
And Roland, let me just say this, and I don't mean this wholeheartedly. If those kickbacks / site commissions were going to the benefit, 100% of the benefit of those incarcerated, I might be a little softer. But we need to follow the money. And there's examples after examples of a motorcycle here, something else there that does not benefit those who are incarcerated. So look, we've got a broken system that the last administration attempted to finally fix. Now, it took the FCC more than a decade to even move and act. Keep that in mind. The FCC was not fast moving under any administration to do this, but we finally did. It took a number of years, a number of tries, a number of court decisions that did not work in our favor, but we were not going to stop. And even when I left the FCC, I was not going to stop. Now, I am upset, as you can tell right now, but I am not going to stop. This is a wrong-headed decision by my former colleague, and we are going to be out there voicing our opinions and supporting the direction in which this agency should have continued. And hopefully he will get the message and will rescind his pause on justice for those least likely to be able to speak and to stay connected with their families.
Nola, I'm going to you first. Check this out. I'm going back to my iPad, Henry. This is crazy. This is a story that talks about New Jersey. It says 30-minute phone call costs $1.20. A video call costs $9.95. And in New Jersey, they even charge them 35 cents per page to send an email. Nola, that's crazy.
It's insane. And, you know, this administration is notorious for punishing poor people, you know, people that aren't very, very wealthy. As this Epstein stuff keeps rolling out, and this article tonight and the Wall Street Journal, if this, you know, bears out this kind of communication that Trump was having between Epstein, bragging about having everything. And, you know, what do you do in life when you have absolutely everything? These people live in a world that has nothing to do with reality in real life. And honestly, I'm at the point where I believe that this is kind of like their entertainment, that punishing people that are impoverished, punishing people that that need a little extra help, you know, that seems to be their form of entertainment, just like lynchings, when people would gather with their families and they would stand around the tree, take photos, take mementos. It really does feel like that. And you are charging people in prison who are already being punished. And then you're not only punishing them, you're also punishing their families even further. So this kind of like rule by punishment, this is the part of it that I dislike the most. The most vulnerable are being the most harmed, which of course we all knew. And yes, we all tried to tell folks, but here we are. And the thing for me is, what can be done? You know, we're seeing Republicans already trying to play tricks with voting in 2026. What happens if that stands? What recourse do we have then?
I'm curious about, if you can hear me, about Chevron. I'm not an attorney. So that Chevron decision that bears some mention, how can the FCC do this under that doctrine, that was, overturned? Tell me, how can the agency make the decision to pause like it just did unilaterally? I don't understand it. Do the rules apply differently? You can answer that better than me.
It's beyond
Reese.
frustrating, and that's the part of it.
Commissioner Clyburn,
Reese?
work. I'm curious. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm curious. We have a huge problem in this country with recidivism, and obviously depriving people of outside contact during their service. During their prison term, I would assume increases their likely to recidivate. Do you have any information on that aspect and how ultimately by penalizing families who have to pay for these calls and penalizing inmates, we're actually increasing the likelihood of people to return to prison?
You're absolutely right. I can get you more specific, but let me give you an example. I was up in Newark a few years ago, and I was going to speak with a number of those incarcerated about what and where they are and how much this meant to them to be in touch. One person did not want to speak with me because some privilegers, were denied that day. But I got a chance to say one or two things to him. And this is what he said, and this was confirmed by those who were responsible for guarding them. They can tell a difference when there is family contact. Not only can they tell a difference and they see a difference in their behavior inside, it's the children and others on the outside who have that reinforcement that I love you, that they cannot afford and will not be able to afford to do with this pause. That might be another 2 years if the courts are not more friendly. And so, yes, the answer is yes. Anyone in a facility will tell you when those incarcerated are in touch with their loved ones, they can tell the difference. That is hands down. That is not the issue here. The issue here is greed. The issue is insensitivity. The issue is not caring about those on the other side of the economic and political aisle. It is a shame. Mm-hmm. And again, people like me are not going to stop until we get justice.
Greg?
Thank you, Roland. And thank you, Sister Commissioner. Sister Clyburn, you said earlier we should follow the money. And we know that Securus, the prison phone communications company, along with GTL, controls more than 70% of the market for prison calls. And that's a company owned now by the owner of the Detroit Pistons, Tom Gores, whose wife contributed money to RFK Jr. to his campaign when he was running for president. My question has to do with how far you think this goes in terms of a broader ideological project. I say that because your former colleague, and I use that word very loosely, Brendan Carr, of course, wrote chapter 28 of this document, Project 2025, on the Federal Communications Commission and telegraphed that he is exactly the type of ideologue that we expect would work with Russell Vought to destroy the federal government, to unify power in the executive, and to unleash the very type of unbridled capitalism that we see at play now. Do you think he was playing in y'all's faces? And do you think that this, along with enriching folks like Gores and others, has been the strategy all along? And at this point, what do you think we should and can do to combat what seems to be a long-range ideological plan?
I will say that the people I know that I served with in the past are very transparent. No surprise. This here. Disappointment, yes, but no surprises. Look, we talked about following the money. We talked about following the influencers. That is the issue here. There are too many people who are quiet because they look at whatever infraction that was committed or whatever happened to land that person behind bars and not the rest of it. And so the insensitivity on that and the greed on the other side and the influence, yes, by a very concentrated, as you mentioned, industry that not only is exploitive, but it doesn't allow for competition. There are a couple of people who look like us who have been trying to offer different alternatives at different price points. Guess what? They've had a heck of a time breaking in. Why? Because of these exclusive arrangements. So exclusivity, honestly, profit sharing on the backs of those who can't afford it the most. And of course, the influence that most people who are related to and who are incarcerated don't have, has permitted and allowed and enabled this uncomfortable storm to keep brewing for almost 30 years. So again, what we can do is go state by state, county by county, because those jurisdictions can make changes. And so while we might have a hiccup or a pause here, that does not stop other states who have not reformed to do so. And we should press on them where we live to make sure that their rates are just and reasonable, and where they are not, we should be advocates close to home, pushing for those sheriffs and others to be reasonable, to be just, and to be compassionate.
All right, then. Mignon Clyburn, we appreciate it. Keep up the fight.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The window to invest in Fanbase is closing. We've raised over $10.6 million of our $17 million goal. That means there's room for less than 6,370 people to invest in Fanbase for the average amount. The minimum to invest in Fanbase right now is $399. That makes you an owner in Fanbase today. Go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. Why? Because current social apps have taken advantage of users for far too long, with content suppression, shadow banning, harmful racist content, and no real tools for monetization and equity. Fanbase has over 1.4 million users and counting, allowing anyone to reach all their following and monetize their content from day one. Social media is the new TV, and whoever owns the apps that distribute that content have the opportunity to own potential billion-dollar companies. While big platforms with uncertain futures are failing to serve their users, Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now, invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the next generation of social media.